Hello and welcome to my channel to plan for. My name is Marguerite, and on this channel I talk about analog planning, journaling, and all the tools that make writing more enjoyable, especially fountain pens and inks. This video is part of my ink exploration series where I take a look at different properties of fountain pen inks with a special focus on writing samples in fountain pens because that's what I mainly use my inks for. So I really want to see how does an ink perform with different nib sizes on different paper types and get to know the properties of the ink. So today I want to take a look at this ink by Kyo.no.oto. It's called Sakuranezumi, I guess. Well, I'm sorry for butchering the name. I'm doing my best. But yeah, this was a really fun ink to explore because I changed my opinion about this ink almost with every single writing sample. And yeah, that's just what makes this fun to see really the differences depending on the pen, on the nib size, on the paper. Well, as I already said, this ink is by the ink brand Kyo.no.oto, which means the sounds of Kyoto. And it's a brand developed for and operated by the Tak stationery store in Kyoto. And with this ink line, they focus on traditional dyeing techniques that date back about 1,000 years in Japan. And yeah, it's just traditional colors of Kyoto. So the name of this ink, Sakura, which I guess every fountain pen lover knows because cherry blossoms, we have cherry blossom ink, cherry blossom fountain pens. So Sakura, that's a name that's currently in use, and Nezumi means mouse, and it refers to like this gray tone. And I will swatch this ink, and then we will see if cherry blossom mouse gray is kind of fitting. The idea behind it is that this ink should remind of like cherry blossom when you look at them with a dark grayish sky, and that's what the color should remind of. Let's see. So I am going to swatch this ink in my Wearing Goal color swatch book and also here on my Tomoe River paper 68 GSM. So as you see, it is, well, I would describe it as like a dusky purple. And that is a color I really enjoy very much. And I just want to get some areas with more inks because this is a wonderful shading ink. And I just want to show this in the swatch as well. So I already said it's a wonderful shading ink. So pull this in here. I got a full bottle of it. And it has, I think, 30 ml. So this ink line in its core consists of 12 traditional colors, and this is number 9. And let's put down the name. So for me, I always write Kyo.no.oto as the ink brand. I don't know, that's how I got to know this brand name. And so it's the way it's stuck in my head. Me. And let's put this in. Oh, number 8. I don't know what I said before. So then let's also write this here. Kyo.no.oto. Zero. I got of this incline of this basic setup of this incline, which consists of 12 inks, 2. This one and the chestnut brown one. And we still need our ink grid for the water resistance test. Yeah. So I don't know how the other inks perform, but after this ink exploration, I got really interested in learning more about this ink brand and buying all their inks, but I don't want to buy 12 bottles of ink. It certainly got me interested in those inks. Okay, so we have now our grid for the water resistant tank. This is the ink swatch. And while I let this all dry, I will do my writing samples with the 3 different fountain pens on this paper. I want to use for those writing samples the same pens I have used for my main set of writing samples in the different notebooks I will show you just in a minute. But that's my Lamy Safari with a broad nib, a TWSBI Eco with a medium nib, and a Pilot Kakuno with a fine nib. Okay, and let's just close this bottle of ink to prevent any accidents. Okay, we have now our writing samples. And by now the ink is almost dry. at least dry enough for our water resistance test. So I already mentioned I changed my opinion about this ink quite a few times. Why? Well, I have this ink, part of my current ink. I have it actually, or had it inked up in this new pen of mine by the dominant industry brand Stationery, the Kino pen. I already have written it dry, but I think I will re-ink it, I guess. I'm not sure yet. Because when I had this ink in this fountain pen, it felt a bit dry sometimes, which is quite surprising because all the inks I had in this pen so far felt really wet, and it has an ebonite feed. So yeah, it was. I thought, okay, now if the ink feels wet in even this pen, it will be. If this ink feels dry in even this pen, it will be even drier in other pens, which did not prove to be true. Let's see what's this water resistance say. It really depended a lot on the pen and paper and nib combination. More about that when we get to the writing samples. Okay, so water resistance. Well, not that much. I guess you could recover your writing, but yeah, not much is left. Here we can see the ink itself a bit closer up. And we can only see in the ink swatch the shading. And then we have here our writing samples. And well, with the fine pen, it's always hard to see the shading, but with the medium and broad nib, we can also see a lot of the really nice shading in this writing sample. Well, I guess in almost every single letter. But as always with the Lamy Safari, with the broad nib, the shading is the most prominent. And now we have this other ink swatch here. And let's see, what would I give this thing regarding water resistance? 1 drop? I mean, it's not completely lost, but yeah, I don't know, not much remains. Okay, now let's have a look at the writing samples. And when I talk about the writing samples, I will also show you on which paper the ink felt dry and nice and wet, and yeah, all this different variation I experienced with my writing samples. So for my writing samples, I have always my basic set of notebooks, which is like this set of papers I use the most frequently. We have here an Arch and Olive notebook, then Tomoe River paper, and a Rhodia notebook. So let's start with the Arch and Olive. Arch and Olive notebook has a 160 GSM paper. And here, see at the beginning, the Lamy Safari with broad nib, then the TWSBI Eco with the medium nib, and the Pilot Kakuno with the fine nib. Well, actually, it was quite pleasant to write with this ink in all 3 nib sizes. Even with the fine nib, the flow was quite well, which was surprising after my initial thought that this would be a drier ink. And yeah, here with the shading, I do prefer the Lamy Safari with the broad nib. But overall, I did like the flow in the TWSBI Eco with the medium nib the best. So I'm torn a little bit because I like when the shading is super prominent, but flow-wise, the TWSBI Eco was my favorite. Okay, then next paper. Let's move on to the Rhodia notebook. And, well, I mean, as you see, the paper color is quite different. So this cooler gray tone becomes here a bit warmer. And here we have, again, the Lamy Safari with the broad nib, TWSBI Eco medium nib, and Pilot Kakuno with fine nib. And I think here the shading is not as visible as on the Argent Olive paper. Then I have one more writing sample in my Goodinkpressions notebook. This has Tomoe River paper, 52 GSM. And again, come on, focus camera. Lamy Safari with the broad nib, TWSBI Eco with the medium nib, and the Pilot Kakuno with the fine nib. And again, was almost a bit too wet here in this pen, in the Lamy Safari. But my very first writing sample I did in my Clairefontaine notebook. And on this paper, I did not like this ink. On this paper, I did my writing sample. Oh no, I didn't write down the pen. I think, see. Yeah, I did the writing sample here with my stationery. I never really know how to pronounce it. Midpoint, my Kino pen, let's say it like that. And here, this ink felt too dry. So that's where my initial thoughts came from. Okay, this is an ink that is too dry for my liking. I mean, I have to say I like super juicy inks. That's just my preference. So if I say too dry, it might just be perfect for you, but too dry for me. So I was not really happy with this ink on this paper, but on all other papers, even with this pen, the ink performed well. So this was really a paper ink pen combination problem. I don't know which one was the guilty one. Was it the paper, the ink, the pen, or just all of them together? Only in this combination, I don't like this ink. I don't know. But I have to say, with all the other writing samples and these 3 other pens, I did not perceive this ink as dry. I also have a writing sample in my Leuchtturm notebook. And that's also with the Kino fountain pen. And here again, ooh, is this a nice shading? I mean, look at that. I mean, come on. That is wonderful. I mean, hey, look at this. That's really beautiful. And finally, I do have a writing sample in my Hobonichi notebook. And it has also Tomoe River paper, 52 GSM. And again, as you see, his ink looks beautiful on this paper, shading again, and again, not dry. So with every writing sample, I grew to like this ink even more. Okay, now for the ink comparison. So here is a swatch card I have of this ink. And I think here you can even see the excellent shading even more clear. And I found two inks which I think are quite similar. One I have already done an ink exploration of, and that's Germain Poussière de Lune. And the other one is Hematite, I guess that's how you pronounce it, from Toner and Limbs. This ink I do not own. I have only swatched it once, I think at a pen store or something like that. But just from this tiny swatch, it could be quite similar. Now let's have a look at Poussière de Lune. So if we put them next to each other, let's see how well this works. I think here you can see that the name Nezumi, the mouse gray, here it really starts to become obvious that this ink is way more grayish than Poussière de Lune. But even if you compare them in writing, I don't know how well you can see this on camera, but in person there is actually quite a bit of difference. And also this Kyo.no.oto ink is a way, shades way more. Okay, so for my final thoughts about this ink. As I already said, this ink was a surprise for me because from my original skepsis, I don't want to say disliking, because I didn't dislike this ink, because I'm a big fan of this color. This dusky purple is something I really do enjoy. But from being not a big fan of this ink, I really grew to like it, and now I want to explore more inks by this ink brand. So yeah, it was definitely a fun exercise just to play around with this ink and see how it performs on all the different paper types and in the different nibs. So I hope I could share my excitement about this ink and how interesting it is to write with this ink a little bit with you. Hopefully you will stop by for my next ink exploration or one of my other videos. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.